In a recent interview, Lexie Hull opened up about the challenges she faced during the 2024 season, reflecting on her struggles, growth, and the turning point that helped her overcome adversity. Drafted as the 6th overall pick in the 2022 WNBA draft.
So you have basketball in your genes. Your grandfather played basketball, your dad, and you have a twin sister who you played basketball with growing up. What was it like growing up in that family dynamic?
Hull had entered the professional basketball scene with high expectations. She had been a key contributor to Stanford's national championship team. But her early years in the WNBA with the Indiana Fever were far from easy. As the team struggled with an underwhelming 1-8 start to the season, Hull found herself sitting on the bench more often than she had hoped. Her role unclear, her minutes limited. The question on everyone's mind: would Hull ever live up to the potential she had shown at Stanford? Lexie, however, had always been determined and was no stranger to the pressure of competition.
Well, we have a super competitive family, and having my dad play basketball collegiately, knew that basketball was going to be put in my hands.
Raised in a highly competitive family, she had grown up playing basketball alongside her twin sister. Both daughters of a father who had played collegiate basketball, sports were in their DNA. Despite this, her parents were firm believers in exposing their children to all kinds of sports, and Lexie fondly recalled playing a variety of games growing up. The Hull family dynamic was one that bred resilience and competitive fire, qualities that would prove essential as Lexie navigated the pressures of the professional basketball world. Yet, as the season progressed, something began to change. Lexie Hull found herself trying to adapt to a whole new level of competition, where the transition from collegiate stardom to fighting for minutes was proving to be far more difficult than she had anticipated. The basketball part of the transition is really tough, she admitted, recognizing that every player on the floor was among the best from their college programs.
But my parents were, super excited about having us try every sport imaginable. So yeah, we grew up, my sister and I, playing a little bit of everything.
And many of them had already been in the league for years. The combination of this heightened competition, coupled with the Fever's early season struggles, made for a difficult environment. The team was underperforming, and the frustration was palpable both on and off the court. However, a shift was on the horizon, and it came in the form of one of the most electrifying players in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark. Known for her dazzling highlights and unrelenting competitiveness, Clark's arrival in Indiana was a game-changer not just for the Fever's performance, but for Hull's career. From the moment Clark joined the team, she made an immediate impact, changing the entire atmosphere in the locker room.
I do think that, connections, getting to know people really play a part in the success of teams.
Practices became more intense, more focused, and the energy surrounding the team was revitalized. Fans could feel it too. Ticket sales surged, and the Fever's once dwindling fan base started to buzz with excitement. The transformation that took place within the Fever was not just about the plays Clark was making, but about the cultural shift she brought with her. As Hull reflected on the change, she explained how Clark's presence on the court opened up opportunities for everyone around her. Kelsey and Caitlin draw so much attention, and that opens up lanes for players like me to make cuts and find openings, Hull said.
By WNBA fans, and she was drafted to the W in 2022 with the Indiana Fever in the first round as the 6th pick. I'm talking about professional basketball player Lexie Hull.
Highlighting the impact Clark had on her ability to get open and contribute to the offense. In practice, it wasn't just Clark's skill that was driving the change, it was her leadership. Hull admired the way Clark could lift the entire team, making her teammates feel confident and capable. If I miss, she's definitely going to say, "You got the next one," Hull recalled, describing how Clark's support kept the team's morale high even during tough times. For Hull, the effect of playing alongside Clark wasn't just about finding new spaces on the floor. It was about how Clark's leadership brought a renewed sense of belief to the Fever, helping to shift the narrative surrounding the team. No longer was the team just trying to survive under Clark's guidance. The Fever were aiming to thrive. The game becomes so much more fun when you know you're cutting with a real chance to make a play, Hull noted, explaining how the offense became more dynamic and cohesive with Clark at the helm. The team's chemistry started to gel, and the individual contributions, including Hull's, began to shine. But was Clark's arrival enough to turn the season around? The answer came not in a single game, but in the Fever's approach to their work. The intensity in practice, the drive to improve, and the support they gave each other off the court began to take shape. Hull credited the Fever's coaching staff for their approach during the Olympic break.
Beginning of the season, My playing time definitely looked different than it did at the end. So trusting that, I was staying ready, putting in the work.
Where players had a full month to focus on their skills, for Hull, this time proved invaluable. The coaches emphasized tracking shooting percentages, allowing Hull to see her improvements firsthand. Seeing my percentages improve gave me the confidence I needed, she explained, noting that the coaching staff's attention to detail and focus on individual growth had a significant impact on her performance.
So that when I did get the minutes out on the court, that I could take full advantage of them. So I was just really proud of myself for trusting the process and staying the course.
By the second half of the season, Lexie Hull was no longer a mere bench player. She had become an integral part of the Indiana Fever's offense. Her shooting percentages climbed, and her contributions in critical moments helped the Fever gain momentum. I was putting in so much work, and my shooting percentages weren't reflecting it, Hull admitted, reflecting on her early frustrations. But the numbers don't lie, she said, explaining how tracking her progress kept her motivated and focused on her goals. Hull's growth on the court was a testament to the hours of practice she'd poured into her craft. Early in the season, her shots weren't falling, and the frustration was palpable. It's not uncommon for athletes to experience these periods of self-doubt, especially when their performance doesn't match the effort they're putting in, but Hull's commitment to improvement never wavered.
The basketball part of the transition is really tough. Everybody out on the court was one of the best players on their college teams, definitely the best player, likely from...
Instead of being discouraged by her shooting percentages, she chose to double down on her work ethic, knowing that success wasn't always immediate. The game can be so mental, Hull explained. You can be doing everything right, and sometimes it just doesn't click. But I kept reminding myself that it was all part of the process. Hull's determination paid off as she found her rhythm.
Their high school team, so it's just this mishmash of the best basketball players, and then you're playing against people that have been there for years and years.
And her confidence grew along with her performance. It wasn't just Hull who was developing throughout the season. The Fever, once struggling to find their rhythm, had transformed into one of the most talked about teams in the league. Their chemistry, resilience, and newfound identity propelled them into playoff contention. Fans had begun to take notice, packing arenas and flooding social media with support. What had once been an ordinary season for a team in flux was now an exciting ride filled with promise. As the Fever started to win games, the impact of their unity was undeniable. We never turned on each other, Hull shared, emphasizing the importance of the team's collective mindset.
We were just sick that we had lost so many games, and also feeling like we were better than that.
That mindset, that unity, that's what got us through the tough times. The sense of community within the team had a ripple effect both on and off the court, and Hull's own growth was intrinsically tied to the supportive, collaborative environment the Fever had cultivated. The team's turnaround was not just about on-court performance, it was a cultural shift. From the front office to the coaching staff and players, everyone was aligned with the vision of success, and that vision was rooted in teamwork. When you have a group of people who truly care about each other and want to see each other succeed, it creates an atmosphere that's hard to replicate, Hull noted. The Fever's culture of selflessness, trust, and accountability was instrumental in their ascent from a middle-of-the-pack team to a playoff contender. Hull's personal development mirrored the team's transformation in many ways. At the start of the season, she was still finding her place, trying to navigate the demands of being a WNBA player while adjusting to the expectations that came with playing for a team in transition. As the season progressed, however, Hull's confidence grew, and her role on the team became more defined.
My role is just getting to the open spots, and we have such a good offense that people find the open person. So to be that open person, you get excited.
She was no longer just a complementary piece, but a key contributor who could be relied upon in critical moments. Her shooting percentages climbed steadily as she worked through her early season struggles, and her defensive efforts began to stand out as well. Hull's versatility became one of her strongest assets, as she could be counted on to do the little things that helped the team win games. Whether it was hitting a timely three-pointer, grabbing a crucial rebound, or locking down an opponent on defense, Hull was finding ways to impact the game in a variety of ways. But playing in front of sold-out crowds was a surreal experience for Hull. The team's newfound popularity brought both excitement and challenges. What had once been an ordinary trip to the grocery store turned into a mini meet and greet with fans. Walking through the grocery store in Indianapolis, and someone fist bumps me and says,
"What is it like playing off of Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aliyah Boston?"
I mean, they make my job really easy, right? It's awesome, and it's
Go Fever! That's just a really cool environment, Hull reflected, realizing just how much the city had embraced the team. The Fever's rise in prominence wasn't just a local phenomenon, it had national implications as well. The team's exciting brand of basketball, highlighted by Hull's growth and the leadership of players like Caitlin Clark, drew attention from fans across the country. It wasn't long before the Fever became one of the most talked about teams in the WNBA, and their games began to attract a wider audience. For Hull, who had spent much of her career flying under the radar, it was a humbling experience to see the impact she and her teammates were having on the league and the basketball community. But with that newfound fame came the pressure of constant scrutiny, especially from social media. The constant stream of feedback, both positive and negative, was overwhelming.
really cool to see all of them just grow, not only from this year, but playing 3 years with Kelsey, 2 years with Aliyah. They're so impressive.
And Hull admitted that it was difficult to avoid reading the comments. You want to engage with your fans and appreciate the support, but sometimes the criticism can be too much, Hull shared. It's hard not to let it affect you, especially when you're giving your all on the court. The emotional toll of fame wasn't something Hull had fully anticipated when she first entered the league. The intense public focus on her and her teammates brought a new set of challenges, from managing expectations to dealing with the pressure of being in the spotlight. Despite these challenges, Hull remained grounded by focusing on the things that mattered most to her: her teammates and her passion for the game. Despite the challenges of fame, Hull and her teammates leaned on each other for support. The locker room became a safe space where players could focus on growth rather than external pressures.
I think it's really fun because they garner so much attention, obviously, from the other team's defense. So then it allows the other players, me included, to make...
The biggest thing is finding people to kind of get you out of that cycle and get you thinking about the positive things you did, Hull said, highlighting the importance of the team's support system. The camaraderie among the players was a cornerstone of the Fever's success, and Hull often credited her teammates with helping her navigate the highs and lows of the season. The locker room is everything, Hull explained. That's where we can be ourselves, where we can laugh, vent, and encourage each other. It's where we learn and grow as individuals, and more importantly, as a team.
Cuts, make reads, and they're really good at finding, those openings and giving the ball up when it's needed and finding the better shot. So it's really fun, and I feel really lucky to get to play with them.
The connection between the players was palpable, and it was clear that the Fever's success on the court was driven by a strong sense of togetherness off the court. As the Fever learned to embrace the spotlight, they remained grounded in their mission to play for something bigger than themselves. For Hull, that mission was clear: to represent her city, her team, and her fans with pride. It's not just about basketball, Hull reflected. It's about being a role model, about showing young girls that they can achieve anything if they put in the work. The transformation of the Indiana Fever during the 2024 season was nothing short of extraordinary. From a team struggling to find their footing to one of the most exciting and promising teams in the WNBA, their journey was a testament to the power of teamwork, resilience, and leadership. Hull's personal growth mirrored the team's transformation, and with Caitlin Clark leading the charge, the Fever were no longer just contenders, they were a force to be reckoned with. Hull's journey was not just a personal victory, it was a collective one for the Fever organization. With a roster that included all-stars like Aliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, the Fever had built a formidable team capable of competing with the best. The team's ability to come together and elevate each other was one of the key factors that propelled them to the top of the standings. As the Fever look ahead to the next season, the sky is the limit. With Clark continuing to lead, Hull playing at the top of her game, and all-stars like Aliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell on the roster.
I definitely got passes and tried to finish, but I wasn't expecting to get the ball. So now it's okay, every cut I have, every cut I make, every fast break I run,
The potential for success is immense. The Fever have proven they can overcome adversity, but the question remains: can they take the next step and cement their place among the league's elite? Time will tell, but one thing is certain: the future of the Indiana Fever is bright. The team's young core, combined with the leadership of veteran players, positions the Fever to contend for championships in the years to come.
Really just took one of those to really get my head around, like, oh, she's all the way down at the other end of the floor, and she could still make the pass to me down at the block at this end. So,
as Hull continues to develop into one of the league's top players, there's no telling how far the Fever can go. As fans and analysts alike eagerly anticipate the Fever's next chapter, Lexie Hull's story stands as a powerful reminder of the importance of patience, hard work, and belief in the process.
So fun to be able to know that you're not just cutting to cut, knowing that you're cutting with the possibility of like actually making a really cool play. So that makes it that much more.
From early season struggles to an unforgettable turnaround, Hull's resilience is a reflection of the Fever's own journey. It's a reminder that greatness is often built over time, and that setbacks are simply part of the process of growth. The road ahead is filled with potential, and as Hull put it, we're not just playing for ourselves, we're playing for something bigger. The future of the Indiana Fever is in good hands, and the 2024 season was just the beginning. The Fever's journey, both as a team and as individuals, will continue to captivate fans and inspire future generations of basketball players. With each game, each season, and each challenge they face, they'll be reminded of how far they've come and how much further they can go.
She sees the game at a bigger scale, obviously with the platform that she's created for herself, and then that's transitioned to the game.
The future of the Fever is bright, and the next chapter is just beginning. Be sure to stay tuned for more updates on the Fever's rise, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications to never miss a moment of the action here at Sport Pulse.